I screwed up. Let me explain. When I originally started the old school farm, it was supposed to be like we do Walter's farm where we're digging ourselves out of debt. But when we got the 25, I wanted to play it as more of a sandbox style, where we just have all the stuff that we need, but we're just playing with as old of equipment as we can find, but it's a new game, so we're limited. What is the problem is how much stuff I try to cram into one place. And I think after doing about $410,000 worth of investments, we're about as close to on track as we're gonna get. Let's take a look at the numbers and see what we did. Let's start by heading into the main machine shed. We got the 4960, which is going to be retained as a planter tractor and a spraying tractor. This is the smartest piece of machinery we have on the farm with all of its Green Star stuff, and we don't really need it for high horsepower work. The 5020 we can't get rid of because that would be sacrilegious, and it's great for just smaller tillage work, and we can pull some stuff with it. It's got a little bit of a boost in power. I will have to look for a 16-row planter at some point. We just don't have any mods for them out. Something else that changed is we swapped our combines. We used to have 2 New Hollands. I'm sorry, I could not get them to work the way I wanted to. So we sold those off and we got a Case 2388, the same combine or close to the same one we had back in 22's old school, and a Gleaner N6 that we got with a header and all that stuff. Like the whole combo was $15,000. It was cheap. Bought the 2410 chisel plow off my neighbor. Sold off the Vibrashank International for a wider Alice Chalmers. Nothing's changed here, and nothing's changed over there. But this is not where our big-time money shift comes in. Let's load up in the service rig, and I'll show you guys where the real money started going out. While we're on the road, we are going to be getting to corn harvest this afternoon, but it was drizzling overnight, and the corn's still a little bit too wet in order to start pulling. The most expensive part about this farm expansion is that we bought a property for $175,000. We had to take out a loan for $150,000, and then we purchased the rest. But this is an old farmstead that the house is technically deemed unlivable, but we are keeping the shed, which we have since moved all of our hay equipment down, as well as the 1468. That way we can open up space back at the main shop and keep more things under cover. We sold off the New Holland baler in favor of a 535 John Deere round baler and our weird old sprayer. Yeah, that's out the door now because we got this really nice condition 2004 Bestway. There is a sprayer tank setup that we can use over yonder, but we might just mix the chemical back at the main farm. Just kind of depends on how we want to do that. The other main expensive piece comes in the form of big white paint. That is correct. We bought ourselves a Series 3 450 Big Bud. I would like to say it was cheap horsepower, but this thing cost us $125,000. It is in great condition, but the price tag hurt. Hopefully that will be getting out to the field knocking stocks as well sometime this week. And the last of our investments are in the cornfield we are going to be working in. If you guys are fans of the Old School Farm series and you want to watch me learn how to do my job better, consider hitting down below, possibly clicking the like button, and maybe even subscribing. At some point, I'm going to learn how to make a farm correctly, but, you know, it all takes time. That semi needs to go back to the house because it is full, but this is why I mentioned a 16-row planter, because we have 2 8-row headers that we are now going to run side by side of a 2388 and an N6 Gleaner. Would I have liked to have matching combines? Yes, but when this was $15,000 and this with $40,000, I'm going to take the cheap one. And I believe I fixed the GPS on the 8650. Didn't really check that yet, but now this is a dedicated auger tractor, which goes on the new Kinsey 1050 from like 2011. It's a 1,000 bushel cart for a 1,000 bushel trailer. Numbers wise, it just makes sense. That is about all we have. I think it's time to get the combines up and running. Start threshing some corn. Woohoo! Johnny agrees. Daryl has started in the Case, and I will be in the Gleaner. I think his track is slightly offset to mine, so that kind of sucks, but I guess it is what it is. We did some field testing with this combine before we ended up putting it on camera because I did want to make sure that we were not throwing stuff out the back like Gleaners are known for. So far, this combine has been pretty bulletproof. We haven't noticed any issues, but productivity-wise, we are smoking the New Holland crew. and that makes me eons more excited than I used to be. I didn't really ever have a problem with the 6-row header or the New Holland Combine, but let's just be honest, sometimes you gotta take practicality over, pride. And since this setup still costs me less than the average used combine from the 90s, I think we came out all right. Where else are you gonna be cutting 16 rows at a time for less than 60 grand? My point proven. I will shift over to the south end of the field once we get done with this run. That way Daryl hopefully turns to his right. Yes, he is. Okay, he's smart. Partially. No. Daryl, why are you going all smooth-brained on me? Come back here. What is the Gleaner doing? Can I have one thing? Work correctly on this farm, please. I beg of you. Maybe I need to get Thomas out here, because you guys can see, that's Corey sitting in the cab. Leave it to Corey. As they get started going back and forth, let's run this back to the farm. This is what I mean by it was really, really soggy out earlier. Let's hope we can actually get out of here. Oh, we'll be fine. But you guys let me know down below which of the two combines is now going to be your favorite on the old school. Is it the 2388 Case or is it the N6 Gleaner? Would I have liked to get a John Deere? Absolutely, but there is not really any older John Deere combines available to download unless they're private. I know these train lines are active, but I have yet to meet one locomotive. I've seen them go by, just never when I'm driving. I don't even know how many bushels are in that bin. Never really looked. Everything being in liters, it always screws me up. 149,000 liters. What does that transfer to bushels? We have just under 4,500 bushels in that bin. Nice. Corey's pretty much full, and I think, yes, Daryl just filled up. I don't know if it's just me, but those Gleaners will always look like they have such massive hoppers. Like, that looks like it's a 500 bushel hopper on its own. Which, if we look up at the PDA, I kind of want to see what we still have left. I think this is grass. I don't know what 63 is. That might be wheat. Cotton? Oh, that's cotton down there. We could just tear that up. That's fine. Those are done. That is... Oh, please tell me that's not a giant cornfield. Oh, that's going to be rough if I do 25. I know this is all beans. We could possibly get the case started on this. I know that for a fact. But we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us getting the ground prepped for the next season. The big thing I really want to bring back to the old school series is that organized structure of real-life farm work. Both old school and Nebraska were seasonal based content. That means when we planted corn in April and May in real time, and we did not harvest it until November, December of that coming year. While this particular series will not be doing that, when I bring back Nebraska finally, we will go back to that said structure. If there's anything that I have loved more is the fact that I can still mod. Sometimes I can't mod like I used to, but certain things like fixing mods, just to get them to work properly is so nice in situations like these recordings. It is not even funny. We can now unload on the go. The combine looks great from a physical standpoint, and the wagons now work, so I can give this to our crew and we can have better produced content because the stuff actually works, or works better. Key is empty, but I am just gonna empty out because we're already at 92 anyway. I'm pretty sure that truck is, I think it's 50 bushels from being full. I'm gonna have to skedaddle to the bins and get back. I'm hoping we can wrap this field up in about 15 minutes. Then we can shuffle back over to our new farm plot and grab the big bud. Oh yeah, that thing's like completely topped off. Is there any room left? Nope, that is full. Beautiful. We could take this into town and drop it off at the corn dryer, but I honestly think from travel standpoint, it's going to be faster just to go to the farm. We'll transport whatever differences later. What was so convenient about that property is that it was originally owned by the same people who owned this bin site, and we bought this off of them probably 3 years ago. And with the property already technically being foreclosed, they didn't have any reason to keep it other than, you know, equity. And they threw us the price of what it would cost to just have the land. Won't do anything with the house unless we want to renovate it and rent it out. But we're keeping the shed. That is a fact. I see no need for us to upgrade the bin site size yet. Unless we start bringing in massive amounts of yield. It just seems more logical just to take it to the co-op. What I might need to invest in, though, is another truck. Running one might be okay for beans, but we might need two on tap at all times when it comes to corn. Especially if we're going to invest in a lot of money to get that ground to produce the best possible yield. Ideally, I'd like to get a Timty super hopper, but I might just have to wait and see if I can get myself a Wilson. Even if I just drop off the truck, I got to get the combines empty, bring the truck back to the bin, and then come back, and we're finally empty on everyone. Dang it, Corey, why do you always put the pipe to the wrong side? Daryl's got the right idea. Visually, I think the Gleaner has a bigger hopper. There's no way it doesn't. 31 or 32% is what it put in the wagon. Yeah, that's what I thought. There was no way that the case had a bigger hopper than the Gleaner. He'd had to push over 65%, I believe, in order to have a bigger hopper. I should probably try and catch Corey on his way back. That way he doesn't have to keep stopping with the pipe on the wrong side. Gonna have to do my backup style on this if I want to catch him. Come on, Corey, work with me here. Yeah! Thomas ended up helping us by taking the truck back to the farm. Daryl, once again, is being the intelligent driver and leaving the full side of the pipe to be on the correct side. Corey, on the other hand, still makes me want to drive a stake through his left foot because he says he's 80%, and here he goes turning around. Attaboy, Daryl. Keep fighting the good fight. I think one of the other best decisions we've made is putting the 8650 on the cart. The 4960, love it. Great tractor. But it just doesn't have the guts with the way the terrain works on this map. The ruts are a little excessive in my opinion, but this tractor just has the beans to do the job. The only thing I really want to try is to see if I fix the AI on it. And that'll just have to come later on. But Corey, I swear I will smack you with a flip-flop. It is not even funny. Let's just hope we can take enough out of his tank that he can get all the way down to the end and then turn back around. Daryl, I'm not worried about. He's been pretty consistent. When he gets full, he just stops right about in the middle.
A few moments later.
Corey, don't do this to me. Come on, man! Cab corn will not hurt you. Just finish the row. This just in, for the 50th time this year, I'm gonna have to fire Corey. Why I put that guy in the combine is beyond me. Thomas I'm not mad at, he's new to the operation. Maybe I gotta put Thomas or Arthur in the combine. Maybe they'll get the job done right. Kevin's retired, so we can't use him. I need to put like an air tag or something on these so I can figure out where the trucks are at all times. I know it can't be that much longer. I just hate having these guys sit there and wait. Corey could sit there because he screws up all the time, but Daryl, man, he's doing good. Hey, there's Thomas. Today, Junior. What on earth is he doing? Oh, he's turning around. He's a little confused, but he got the spirit. It seems that only 62 and 14's just blank farm ground. They are the only ones that appear to need plowing, meaning that big 2410 chisel plow is going to need to be probably back on the Big Bud, but then we have to put it back on the vertical till since it's the only tractor that can pull through that amount of dirt. Couldn't do it with the Minneapolis, couldn't do it with the John Deere, and we had to resort to using our cultivator to plow it up and then go through it with the vertical till. Just very inefficient. Very, very inefficient. You know, while in transport, I thought of a strategy we can use. The 5020 is just sitting idle in the shed with the 4960. We put the 4960 on the vertical till. The Big Bud will go on the 2410 chisel plow. The 5020 is going to go on the Alice Chalmers, so we will go through with the Big Bud. Then with the cultivator, the 5020, since it's got the flotation tires, and after all of that, come through with the 4960 and the vertical till to do the mulching to get the stuff ready for seedbed. Which I might as well start shimmying stuff around and getting things hooked up if that's what we're gonna do. We'll need to bring the Big Bud back to the farmstead to get that stuff swapped, but I can at least get the 5020 on the Alice. At least we have the tractors to do this stuff. I mean, it'd be worse if I had to do all of this work and I only had like 2 tractors. We are not going to be able to pull this thing at full depth. I'm well aware of that. But it's the best cards we could play for the situation we're given. Anyways, I got an auger wagon to unload, so we'll see you guys once we get to the Big Bud. Now that is a tractor worth starting. Wonderful. Just gonna let it warm up for just a couple seconds. We have everything transported over just to kind of store it. We want to work on doing beans next since it's getting later in the season. Don't want the pods to just fall apart on each other. But the Gleaner still has the corn head on it. I'm going to haul down the bean head from the main farm and we'll just kind of get everything started. I've already somewhat cleaned up the combine. I've yet to decide if I want to get the bean header down on the Gleaner to help out. However, we need to get the tillage situation figured out because I do not want to take the deer off of the auger wagon. I believe this is the first time the bud's been back on the home farm. I've just kind of left it either in the field or we used it at, what was it, that first farm we did all of the tillage day on. Never cleaned this up from last time, so we're going to have to make sure we check our shovels and any other wearable parts I might need to replace. And you aren't going to be entirely useless. Feels like an insult to say it to the most powerful sound guard deer ever made, but what do you expect? We're working with a lot of land and pretty heavy equipment. You can only ask so much out of these things. We'll have Thomas follow us in the 50-20, and then Daryl will be behind him with the vertical till. And since we're moving everything down at once, that probably means we'll have to put the 1468 on the bale shredder for the pigs, so that way we can get those straw bales shredded up. Yep, they are completely empty, but at least the pigs are, full health. That's the more important of the two. I'm gonna work the lines first so I know where I'm going, and then I can jump onto the 50-20. Daryl, just hang tight for a little bit. We'll get you started probably in about 5 minutes. Just setting that bud to depth, drop her in low, and let her eat. Heck, we might be able to go a little faster. Woo, doggy. Thomas, we'll let you take the reins and see where we can go from here. Look at that boy go. This is some big ruts. This is why it was such a pain for the 50-20 and any of the other tractors to pull through. I mean, look at the size of those clumps. We need to get like a rolling basket to help break that up because it is just the spokes on the back, and this soil type just is not great for that kind of a back end. We need the rolling baskets to help break it up and make it smoother. Like I said, we're not pulling very deep. We just need enough to keep it rolling. Come on, Johnny. Yeah! And then there's just the big bud playing with that thing like it's a toy. This is just unfair. Go, bud, go. Granted, this thing is pulling the cultivator pretty dang well. If you look at the old tillage video, you'll understand why I have to do it this way. Because the big bud was not a part of that episode. We used that during one of our live streams with the tillage application. But the Minneapolis, this tractor, and the 1468 could not pull the big vertical till disc over the top of the plowed ground because it was just too mucky. So we had to get the big bud, and then this comes in as a preparation source to then come over the top with the vertical till disc. So unless that tractor does both jobs, we kind of have to do a preparation state. And at the speed he's pulling that 2410, it kind of seems like I'm wasting time. Let me just check if I'm to start the landall if that track is indeed the same width. Dang, that is pretty close. Nevertheless, let's try it out. If Daryl would just be nice, he would start on the far side, but it doesn't look like he's gonna do that. You might get live demonstration why this didn't work. Hold on, you're fixing to tell me that this tractor can pull the vertical till? What? I tried four-wheel drives of all different sizes, and you're gonna tell me that the 4960 could have done this the whole time? I mean, that saves me time, but I just tracked the 50-20 over here for nothing. Don't you tell me. Oh, come on! Granted, it's not fast, but it saves me time having to pull that thing all the way through the field, and then this. This farm is always a learning in progress, and I mean always. You guys get to learn along the way with me, because I sure as heck don't know what I'm doing half the time, and it blatantly stands out.
I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. My friends are still the same. I guess the slow life like a bonfire on a cold night. Hell, and you can keep your 9 to 5. Happy with the simple life.
Man, I need to get some more horsepower or some smarter AIs. On the old stuff, it didn't matter where you were, what you were doing, how you were doing it. You could just go into a field, press H, and the thing would just start exactly where you wanted it to start. Now, because of all this headlands and management and whatever, this thing will only work in the spots that have not been plowed up. So I'd have to either start the headlands or fix the stupid little increments that the big bud basically forgot. Well, that's the 4960's heart. It's doing the best it can, but this AI, sometimes, it just tweaks me the wrong way. I bet you guys feel the same way. You know what? I'm gonna use what works and I'm gonna have some fun. So we're gonna finish this out with the big bud. Nothing like old-fashioned horsepower to get your blood flowing and make you feel happy. I think that is going to be all the time we have for today. So guys, thank you all for tuning back into the old school series. I hope that my mistakes are something you guys can learn from yourselves on what not to do on a farm. We're $150,000 now in the hole, and we got a long way to go. So be sure to check out the rest of the playlist in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Always remember to keep it light, keep it loose, keep it fresh, and most importantly, keep it fun. We shall see you guys all in the next one. This is the Rental Man out. Peace.